From cursing and spitting at the judge to whole fistfights breaking out and bringing the entire courtrooms into complete chaos.
Alright, let's get him out of here, folks.
Today, we will see what kind of violent reactions these criminals have after being faced with the consequences of their crimes.
Disclaimer.
Percy Phillips stands in front of Judge Mary Shaw in Louisville, Kentucky's Jefferson County Circuit Court. With a lengthy history of violence, which resulted in the death of the victim, a homeless man. He was later accused of menacing a police officer who testified against him in that case, and his fate for these charges of retaliating against a witness will be determined during today's hearing. Phillips's defense counsel, Jay Lambert, argues before the judge that his client is incompetent.
And it would be our position that Mr. Phillips is presently incompetent to stand trial. If we end up in trial, there is no way I can competently even frame a defense. I have asked Mr. Phillips, what do you want me to say or do at your trial? And he won't tell me. He literally, for years, has not said a word.
Lambert is upset that Phillips is refusing to speak with him or give him any suggestions on how to proceed with his defense. Phillips stays still by his side, staring out into space and ignoring his lawyer and every other person in the court. In closing his court appeal, Jay Lambert warns the judge of his client's unpredictable nature.
Mr. Phillips has shared that he doesn't know exactly what he'll do in certain situations in the courtroom. He thinks he just may explode.
What follows are astounding events that confirm his truthfulness in every way. Upon mentioning the allegations against Phillips, prosecutor John Ballett, recalling their reason for appearing in court, is interrupted by the defendant's incoherent stream of profanity.
And at the conclusion of the case, when the defendant was unhappy with the verdict and unhappy with the sentence, he threatened the police officer who testified against him.
One of the deputies pulls out his taser, which snaps in the backdrop as the prosecutors watch in disbelief at Phillips' outburst. Just seconds before, the courtroom had been very calm. Now, Phillips is lying there and emergency personnel are called to see him. The judge observes the situation, looking about in disbelief. Afterwards, Phillips is found not fit to face trial, and the accusations against him are dropped. Remarkably, he is subsequently accused of robbing a gas station nearly 30 years prior, in which the attendant was fatally shot. He is on trial for the charges of murder and robbery, but the jury deadlocks the proceedings. Attorneys choose not to request a new trial. Since courtrooms are high-stress environments, it is normal for feelings to occasionally overflow into angry outbursts directed at the prosecution or the judge. However, occasionally, this stress takes extremely unexpected forms, as in the case of Antonio Ray Cobb, for instance, and made obscene phone calls to an ex-girlfriend. He is in court for a hearing at the Daytona Beach, Florida Courthouse Annex. Judge Fred Werther prepares to go on the next case after giving him a 3-month prison sentence for this. But as Cobb is escorted out of the courtroom by deputies, he makes the odd decision to let out all of his rage. What follows will surprise you.
I hate you. Get over there.
Abruptly, Cobb breaks free from the deputy, sprinting and throwing himself into the courtroom wall. He violently strikes the phone hung on the wall, which is ironic considering the nature of the accusations he was recently found guilty of. Cobb's head strikes the phone hard, removing the plastic cover and possibly inflicting some more damage to his skull. Cobb is restrained by the court officer, who rushes over, but the defendant is enraged and keeps yelling profanities while he is being pulled to the ground. Cobb keeps fighting while two deputies attempt in vain to bring him down. He then strikes one of the officers in the head once more. This forces a third sheriff officer to rush into the conflict and launch a pepper spray cannon at Cobb's face. The judge calls for a break as Cobb lies on the ground, wheezing and feeling finally defeated.
Sorry, back off. I suggest that we leave the courtroom for 2 minutes. This court is in recess.
Covering their faces to prevent themselves from breathing in the residual pepper spray, the other defendants are escorted out of the courtroom. Cobb was eventually sentenced to a few extra months in prison due to his outrageous behavior in court. The situation is all too similar to Jesse Rose, an Australian who wants to play rugby league. Following an incident that occurred in a hotel bar in New South Wales 2 years prior, Rose recently entered a guilty plea. Rose and his friend are shown on security cameras being asked to leave the bar after disturbing a different customer. When the two reject, Rose acts aggressively at one of the security guards, spitting in his face and throwing a glass at the man's side of the head. And the guard required stitches for a 7-centimeter gash. Rose is ordered to stand in the dock to hear his sentence after entering a guilty plea. His attorneys have argued before Judge Hassler that their client should not go to jail because he has changed and is currently in a stable relationship and employment. But the court decides that Rose should serve 14 months in prison since she believes the incident to be too terrible to be spared. The next event is unbelievable and completely refutes his attorney's prior assertions of rehabilitation. Rose appears to be turning to leave the dock, but instead of walking away silently, he gives the door a powerful kick that sends it flying. Rose is ready for a fight, as seen by the expression on his face, while 2 court officers try to calm the situation. The officers recoil in fear as he advances on them with a step of aggression. Rose then takes a step back, snatches an office chair, and throws it at the guards. As the defendant raises another chair and throws it at the remaining officer, one of the guards tries to go around the dock to get to Rose from the opposite side. When the first cop arrives, Rose pushes him to the ground and climbs on top of him before engaging in some hand-to-hand combat. Before the officers finally pin the defendant down, the 3 fight on the ground as the second guard climbs on top of Rose. Here in the gallery, you can see his girlfriend pacing nervously. Without any more drama, Rose is pulled to his feet by a group of officers who have entered the courtroom and are escorting him out. Jesse Rose was already serving a 14-month term for reckless wounding when he was hit with 2 further charges. This resulted in an additional 8 months behind bars. As demonstrated by Dale Roy Greenman, sometimes all it takes is a few words to get you extra points on your rap sheet. At the Orange County Courthouse, Greenman is appearing before Judge Carly Wish. This accusation stemmed from an incident in which Greenman left a 7-Eleven without paying for a bottle of Gatorade, cigarettes, and a lighter. Greenman makes a lighthearted introduction to the judge to start the session off on a positive tone.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you tell me your name, please?
Hello, Your Honor.
State your name.
Mr. Greenman.
Can you tell me your name?
Roy Greenman.
The prosecution responds negatively when Judge Wish asks if they have any arrangement that could spare Greenman from going to jail. This is due to the fact that Greenman may have his current misdemeanor charge of tampering with evidence elevated to a felony due to charges he faces from outside the state.
So, Mr. Greenman, you have prior history out of state, and so the state may enhance this offense to a felony based on your priors. So I can't do anything with your case today.
Greenman receives bad news from the judge, signaling that he will not be returning home today. Everything turns into chaos.
I am gonna appoint the public defender for you.
That's horse. You do whatever the you want.
Excuse me?
My name is Mr. Greenman. I'm the federal witness of the United States federal government. I demand some respect, you. Let's get a jail for how long y'all did and figure out what you're doing.
All right, he can be removed once y'all get him out.
Now.
Greenman verbally abuses Judge Wish in a heated outburst. Greenman takes off his face mask and starts to yell profanities again, but the two sheriff's deputies are fast to react, grabbing him by the elbows. Then, while the officers arrest him, he makes some questionable statements. He screams and shouts and is ordered to leave the courtroom by Judge Wish. The judge increased Greenman's bail after his outburst from $250 to $1,000, and the following week he was freed upon signing a document committing him to showing up at his next court hearing, which he predictably did not. He was later dubbed Larimer County's most wanted man when he failed to appear in court on accusations of assaulting a sheriff's deputy in a different Colorado case. And if you want to see more questionable cops and insane arrests, click the next video on screen.